Godzilla vs. Kong. So Godzilla vs. Kong, that's probably the most self-explanatory title in film history. Now because, of course, it's literally Godzilla vs. Kong. We have dream collaborations in films. You know, we talk about the Avengers and Justice League, but the idea of Kong and Godzilla coming together is probably the most explosive and most insane idea that cinema could probably ever conjure up. And the film is actually the fourth instalment in what is supposedly known as the Monsterverse, and is a sequel to Kong Skull Island and Godzilla King of the Monsters. And what I predicted before watching this was that it was going to be just entertaining, it was going to be fun, it was going to be exciting, it was going to be pretty intense, and there's just going to be a lot of jaw-dropping moments. But there were still some things that made me think, I'm not going to take that part too seriously, because we all came to see Kong and Godzilla rather than anything else. But the point is that it was just going to be for entertainment more than anything. So in what feels the ultimate battle, we see iconic monster characters Godzilla and King Kong collide, with the fate of the world in serious jeopardy. Meanwhile, despite the coexistence in previous installments, the humans who are practically victims to their own destructions find themselves at their mercy and look to seek for other ways to restore that sense of peace and order of what's going on in the world. So the story in itself is very, very thin, and of course it's because the characters who we came to see are two fictional CGI characters. We wanted to watch one monster versus the other one and to see them collide against each other. That's literally it. But it's so easy to be able to throw those ideas in, but the story itself actually needs substance and structure. Does it? Yes, I would say it does overall. It wasn't the main thing I was particularly focusing on, and I'm pretty sure most people were thinking that. It was more about the ultimate collision between two of cinema's most iconic monsters. That was literally the point of the film. But what I found with it sometimes is that, of course, they were enhancing the scale of the story in the film, because of course it's two massive creatures fighting each other in a large city. Like, there were some cinematic elements that made me think just because it's got loud noise and it's got music that has a somewhat masculine feel to it doesn't automatically make it epic, as exciting and as intense, and even the characters as intimidating or as threatening as they are out to be. So even though the majority of us were basically going into this film just to watch two monsters fight and collide with each other, it still equally needed an engaging story, especially as it's part of a franchise that they're looking to expand and build even more than they already have. I think it probably did the best that it could, because I think a lot of people probably just didn't really care about the story or the characters, and to be perfectly honest, I didn't really. It was just about the satisfaction and the excitement of seeing these two monsters coming together and how they were going to do it from a production standpoint, but also how it was going to be built up narrative wise. So even though we're aware that the film is called Godzilla vs. Kong, they are the main characters who we are wanting to see, yet they are almost supporting ones as well, because it's not just their journey or their eventual coming together that we are waiting to see and we are following. It's the characters, the human characters. So Alexander Skarsgård stars as geologist Dr. Nathan Lind, who is basically Kong's handler, as he is held within the Hollow Earth. Skarsgård himself acknowledged that his character is a homage to leading male heroes in 1980s action films such as Indiana Jones, Romancing the Stone, Princess Bride, and potentially even the Jurassic Park series as well. Millie Bobby Brown, who we all know of course starred as Eleven/Jane in Stranger Things, she reprises her role in this film from her previous performance in Godzilla King of the Monsters, and you follow her journey through this very destructive, dangerous path. And I sometimes find that in science fiction stories and very often monster films, that it's the innocence perspective that you really follow through this destructive journey. Obviously in King Kong it's mostly famous for a young blonde woman, but in this case it's of children. It's definitely their innocence that we follow, while also showing us that very heroic side, and you definitely see that, as does Julian Dennison as Josh Valentine, who is Madison's friend. And in some regard I would probably say that their performances and those characters reminded me a lot of Lex and Tim Murphy in Jurassic Park. So of course the cast wasn't going to be Oscar worthy, it wasn't going to be a performance that we'll always remember, it wasn't going to be an oh my god that was amazing performance, it wasn't going to be that at all, because of course the ones we were going to see were the monsters. It was just entertaining, and it was a nice escape back to the cinema, as of course it was the very first time I'd been back. But at the same time it makes me think, because we live in an age now where CGI is skyrocketing through the roof, and we have so many different elements of how we can portray stories on screen now, And I just feel that the anticipation and the build-up, although the coronavirus pandemic might not have helped it, that when you have such an anticipating moment of two of the most iconic cinema monsters of all time coming together, we had 3 previous installments, it just felt a bit like it wasn't really exciting, really, until we actually get in the auditorium and watch it. This Monsterverse reminds me a little bit of the DCEU, where it just kind of just threw everything in, and that was it, without even thinking about, let's do this, let's do that, let's do this, let's build it up a bit more, let's think of this, let's think of that, before ultimately going with a story that's just going to erupt and bring everything together. Because where does this series go now? What plan has it got to go next? Because we've seen Godzilla and Kong together, so where's it going to go? They've got ideas, and I'm sure we'll find out what they are in the future, but I'm just not sure where. But as I say, Godzilla vs Kong was exactly what I just expected. Entertainment. Nothing serious, but just some good fun. What did you think of Godzilla vs Kong? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, if you did go on to enjoy this video, please hit that like button and subscribe for more, and have a notification bell tick so you're notified when I upload a new video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care, everybody.